When I first started playing, I probably had some of the same typical influences that kids my age had. It's like Black Sabbath and Zeppelin and The Who and Iron Maiden, and then I started to get more drawn towards the guitar players. And as I played more, I was drawn to players that really had unique style. I was really into Rush and Alex Lifeson and Steve Howe with Yes, Randy Rhoads, and then I finally discovered Steve Morse, and my life changed. I heard the Bash for the first time, and I was just like, this is unreal. Got every Dregs album, and started getting into Steve and the Dregs, and Al Di Meola and Alan Holdsworth. I had a similar experience here in Stevie Ray Vaughan for the first time, like just blown away. One of the more difficult techniques for most guitarists is using alternate picking through arpeggios. Now this has been something that's been difficult for me for a while, and it's actually making me kind of mad, so I analyzed what the problem was, and I came up with an interesting little fact. First of all, the problem always seemed to arise when I was encountering what I call inside the string picking. And that to me is really difficult because it seems like your pick is kind of trapped in between these two strings, as opposed to playing on the outside of the strings, like this, where it feels like you have a bit more freedom of motion. To experiment and see if this is a problem for you, I suggest playing two notes on adjacent strings, let's say A on the G string and D on the B string, and first try picking them starting with a downstroke and then with an upstroke. And let's see how that feels. Try it at various tempos, see how fast you can get it. Now do the same thing, but start on an upstroke and go up, down, up, down. You're going to encounter that inside of the string picking phenomena. Let's try that. Now my right hand immediately starts to tense up as soon as I encounter that inside of the string technique, and I think it's because I feel like I'm sort of trapped and I have no range of motion. This is usually a problem for most guitar players. Some guys have this taken care of, and we'll have to shoot them all. But anyway, how do you practice this? How do you get around this? Well, very simply, you just practice the motion that you're having a problem with. Now, this could be very boring if you sit there doing that for any period of time that's going to make it effective. So what I've done is I've come up with a little etude that practices and concentrates on the inside of the string picking. And by the way, if you ever have something that you're trying to work on and you need to develop it, come up with some little progression or etude or song. It makes it a lot more interesting. So let me demonstrate it for you now slow, and then I'll play it up to tempo. Now I'm going to demonstrate this up to speed with the metronome. Make sure that the pick strokes are even and that you maintain, in this case, down, up, down, up, down, up, because we're starting on a higher string and going to a lower string, which once again makes us encounter this inside of the string technique. So here we go. Now that exercise specifically narrows down the problem and concentrates only on that problem. But the thing is, you're going to encounter this picking hang-up through an arpeggio. In other words, some part of the arpeggio you'll have no problem playing, and other parts you might have this inside of the string thing. Let me demonstrate on a major arpeggio. If I play G major in the 7th position, I have down, up, down, up. Now the initial down, up isn't a problem. Either is the next down. But it's when you go to the D on the G string, you have the inside of the string picking down, up. So in order to play that quickly, you're going to have to overcome that little problem right there. So once again, instead of practicing that same arpeggio over and over, I came up with another little etude that incorporates major and minor arpeggios, and that picking hang-up is kind of snuck in the middle of the arpeggios. So it's not just only concentrating on that, but it's incorporating it into a larger picture. Here it is slow. Now I've added an extra challenge to this one because not only are we working on the picking hang-up, but we're skipping strings while doing that hang-up. Let me show you where that happens. Right over here between the D and its octave, between the D and the C, between the D and the B. You're playing up, down, and also trying not to hit the B string while you're at it. Here it is up to tempo.